All right, hey everybody. Welcome to the panel for Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I'm Jeff Keighley, and we've got a great panel here to tell you all about all things MW. So without further ado, let's welcome out Taylor, Jacob, and Joel from Infinity Ward. Jacob? Joel? Another day, another interview with me. Well, guys, it's great to have you here at E3 Coliseum. Congratulations on the reveal of the game. I know a lot of fans here and also around the world tuning in because there are lots of questions about this and a lot of curiosity because this is such a classic franchise. Infinity Ward, Modern Warfare, Call of Duty. Everyone's so excited to learn more about it. So let me just kind of start off with talking about the idea of, going back to Modern Warfare for IW. Why go back to Modern Warfare? And also, not Modern Warfare 4, it's Modern Warfare. So you want to maybe, Taylor, just sort of set up, what is this? What is Modern Warfare? What does it mean? Because it's not a sequel, right? It's not a prequel. It's reimagining, I think you're saying? Or?
Yeah, that's the term that we're using. We're calling it a reimagining. We've been working on this game for 2.5 years now. And when we started out, we asked ourselves a really simple question. We just said, the words modern and warfare, what does that mean to us today? Kind of devoid from the games that had preceded them. And it's always been relevant. It's always felt ripped from the headlines. Yeah. It's always kind of been this really cool roller coaster ride. It's been like a cinematic experience that you could play. Yeah. I can speak for myself that playing the first Modern Warfare, that was like a seminal moment in my life as a player, where I was playing Crew Expendable, and I'm escaping the cargo ship, and I paused the game. And again, now, granted, I've been a game developer for many, many years at this point. So I know the tricks, I know how to make games to a certain extent, but I paused the game and I was like, what is this magic that I'm playing right now? What is this madness? Like, it just felt like the guys at Infinity Ward, Joel's one of them, had captured lightning in a bottle and created this action military movie that you could play. Yeah. So we wanted to do, for the players of today and for the players like me that played it 11 years ago, we wanted to do that again.
That was the airplane hangar E3.
Well, Joel, you're back at IW and having worked on some classic Call of Duties here. Must be kind of amazing for you to be reunited with the franchise, right?
I went off for about 7 years and played with giant robots for a while, and then got a little tired of advanced movement stuff, and games I was working on were making my eyes twitch, which is great, but I think I wanted something a little more realistic. I heard a rumor that Infinity Ward might be making Modern Warfare and returning to it, and I went and I hung out with Dave Stoll, my boss now, and I said, I heard that this is happening, and he said, kind of went, yeah, maybe, and I went, well, if you are, I want to be there. There's a few other people that came back, and we came back specifically to be a part of Modern Warfare again.
Yeah. No, I mean, this game means so much to all of us, and Jacob, you and Taylor, having worked at Naughty Dog, known for amazing narrative storytelling. Modern Warfare was a great story, but also incredibly rich, engaging gameplay with real stakes. Can you maybe talk a little bit about sort of why Modern Warfare? Like, it's obviously it's a big franchise. It's it's revered by everyone. But like, what was the deeper reason of why you guys wanted to do a Modern Warfare game?
Well, when we decided, okay, we got to figure out what our next game's going to be. We all looked around the studio and said, what do we want to make? And Modern Warfare is so beloved by us and by the fan base, and we just saw so many things that we could do with the new technology and the new storytelling techniques that we have that really hadn't been done before. The franchise has done all sorts of amazing, bombastic sequences, and we feel like the games that we've made, Infinity Ward in particular, have kind of gone as far as they can go with those, and so we decided what we can do now with the capabilities and the fidelity of the engine that we've built is to make something that's much more grounded, much more intimate, really focusing on the fidelity and nature of close quarters combat and all the performances that we can now get since we do full reality capture for all of our actors. It just seemed like the right time to revisit and reimagine it.
Yeah, no, when we saw that first glimpse in the trailer, I've had the advantage of going to the studio, spend some time with you guys, looking at this thing, and I think the technology blows me away, but it's also, I think, what you're doing narratively with your sort of positioning of this. And you said something important about, the big bombastic moments. We all remember those from Modern Warfare, but I argue, it was the characters and a lot of the, just the pace and the emotion of the experience that really was gripping, right? It's sort of the phrase I always use with Modern Warfare, right? You're kind of on the edge of your seat.
That was so important, is having that contrast and moment to moment, and not having, everything, at a level, a high level all the time. You need these ebbs and flows to actually acknowledge something happening, being able to appreciate it, and then move on to the next thing. Having that it's so important. The narrative that these guys have brought to the game has, it tiered it up so high, and you actually you get an emotional reaction to the game. I think you've seen some of it too, but I've seen some of the levels a few times already, and I still have an emotional reaction to it. Now, we're not out to disgust, but it's definitely, what I love about it is they're intense, and you get something out of it. It makes you you start caring about these characters, if that's believed. I mean, that's surprising to me, because I always think, they're pixel people. But these characters feel real to me.
It affects you, and that's the thing is, you're dealing with a massive franchise with lots of people that are curious about it. But as you said, there's a weight to it. I think that's the thing that I sort of really felt.
I mean,
when
definitely
I saw
put
it.
his big boy pants on. That's what it really feels like. It's a grown-up Modern Warfare.
Yeah, Jake kind of touched on it. The techniques that we have now at our disposal that we didn't have in 2007, for example. Making a game in 2007, the narrative of a game was more akin to making an animated feature, right? You have a character artist. Joel was one of the character artists, or the character artist, that's designing a character sort of digitally or analog, with clay, and then realizing what that character looks like. Then you find a different person to be the voice. And then you find a third or fourth or fifth, a team of people to be the motions of those characters. And yes, you can kind of put it together, but it is not the same thing as having actors who are inhabiting those roles, who are being those characters. So for us, when we started to make this game, it wasn't like, okay, who can we find that sounds like the old Price? And we're going to use the old character. It's like, who can we find that can be Price? That is the essence of Price. I think that's an important distinction here.
So new actors in this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Top to bottom.
Yeah.
The distinction I think that is important is we are not beholden to the exact sort of events of the previous games.
Okay.
We are beholden to the spirit of those previous games. When we look back at Modern Warfare 3, by the end of that game, the world had sort of moved away from the world that we all know it in a pretty great way. Nukes had gone off, and superpowers were invading other superpowers' countries and things like that. And so that storyline, because it had gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and more bombastic, had sort of started to diverge away from something that's really relatable.
It was an alternate reality, essentially.
Yeah. And so we just took it and we said, what are the things that people love about those games and about those characters that we, of course, also love? And let's strip it back down and let's make it really relatable. And let's now, with the new fidelity and the new the performances, we can capture so much more nuance. If someone's eye darts a certain way when they're telling you something, you're like, are they telling me the truth? I'm not really sure. Are they hiding something? Is there something behind that? We can capture that kind of fidelity now that we couldn't back then. It just was a totally different technique. So we can tell a much more human, relatable story, combine that with techniques that Joel, I'm sure, can talk about, photogrammetry, things like that. We can make real spaces that feel claustrophobic, that feel real, that it doesn't have to be a big, ginormous explosion to make you feel a thing.
No, and even that
it's now
that
a
townhouse
footstep.
level that I think people see a little glimpse of there, but I
Yeah.
mean it's intense, and you feel like claustrophobic, and I mean it's the stakes are.
That level
Very high.
changed the way we make Modern Warfare.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
We had it working early on, and it was really clear to us that we have this level that you guys haven't seen yet, and I'm sorry. We want to show it really badly.
Set in London though.
But
paint a picture with words.
it's been seen by some people and written about, and it's a very intense, tactical takedown of a home, a house, a layered house with staircases and stuff. We captured Navy SEAL consultants doing the takedown, and watching them move through the environment is spooky. They do things that, it's incredible how nonchalant they are, but how much of a muscle memory it is. But it was clear to us that we couldn't build a traditional video game environment. Usually we have to make these large doors and all this stuff, and these larger corridors, and it just kind of ends up feeling, we do it because AI needs to move and flow and all that other stuff. But when you put this motion capture in that environment, it looked completely inappropriate, and it ruined the entire feeling of the level itself and what we were trying to capture. Not to mention, this is all done with realistic night vision that we've redone with our new engine.
Yeah.
So we had to change the way we built. We went to a one-to-one system. We built the environment one-to-one scale, and then suddenly it worked, and it looked great, and you feel that claustrophobia. And we took that way of thinking and did all. I could geek out on photogrammetry and stuff and reality capture and stuff, but I won't bore you with that. You can probably read about it.
It looks good though.
We married that into the game, but we did our best to make as much of the game one-to-one as possible.
Yeah.
And then, of course, because these are real spaces, we're not throwing wave after wave of enemy at you. As you saw in that level, there's a handful of enemies,
sure, yeah.
which means that, again, like a realistic situation, the stakes are high.
Oh, very intense, right?
Right.
Because like you open a door and it's like even if there's one person.
You
in it,
could
that's what it takes,
accidentally shoot through a wall, which we have bullet penetration in the game, and it's actually calculating caliber. And so when these guys go into these tight environments, they use light caliber rounds and what they call frangible ammunition that actually splits apart when it hits things, so it doesn't go through. The concept is if you're in a level in Modern Warfare, you have to consider hitting someone behind the wall by accident, because you're not. That's a no-no. We don't want that to happen. But it's something that's a layer of complexity in the gameplay now that it really, it makes you think more. You think before you pull the trigger.
I mean, Price always said, check those corners, right? Check those corners. Now, in this game, you really do.
In certain types of levels.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a wide variety of gameplay across the new Modern Warfare. What we've been showing people behind closed doors here at E3 are more intense close-up levels, but there's going to be tons of different, more open areas, and a lot of that's kind of teased in the trailer. Some of our larger scale battles where we're playing alongside rebel freedom fighters, swarming an enemy base, taking a hill just like in an old style Call of Duty, but now with these characters and these environments that are developed at such a higher fidelity and with so much more emotional connection that it
We should
really
show
is
some of
more
those real
impactful.
quick.
Yeah, well, let's
let's
talk
put
a bit
'em up there.
about the,
Let's put some characters up.
Yeah, well, let's talk about sort of, so there are two sides,
Yeah.
like Modern Warfare, like the old game, you're going to be jumping sort of from multiple perspectives. Can you maybe set up sort of the two sides to this, this story?
Sure. So in the first Modern Warfare game, there were these sort of two stories that were being told. You were playing alternately, for the most part, as an SAS Tier 1 operator, and then you were playing as a U.S. Marine.
Yep.
And those were the kind of the parallel storylines. And we really liked that as a concept.
Right.
And so, but in this game, you're playing as a Tier 1 operator, an SAS guy, who's playing alongside Captain Price.
Yep.
But the flip side of that is now you are playing as a CIA SAD operator who gets embedded with a local militia, kind of playing in the Middle East, in our fictional Middle Eastern country. And so we thought that was really cool for story, because not only do you get like you're overpowered and you're maybe going up against enemies that don't have as much technology as you, but you can also play the underdog and find the inverse of that. And what that does for gameplay is it just really opens up the palette, and you've really got to think, okay, I'm in this situation, I'm facing this kind of an enemy, and so how does that change my tactics, and how does that change my strategy? But of course, it's all based on the relationships of those people who are kind of alongside.
Well, speaking of the characters, we have something cool for you guys. We do have some surprises. You want to kind
I
of
jumped the gun. I'm sorry.
That's okay, Joel. We got to get there. We got 8 minutes
I'm all
left. We do
excited.
have a
I'm
lot of
sorry.
cool things to show you guys that no one
I
else
wanna
has
show
seen
you
before.
art.
So let's take a look. I think and meet some of the characters here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
let's-
So you want to walk us through?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Captain Price. I mean,
Yeah.
Joel, you should talk about Captain Price. I mean,
Captain Price, played by Barry Sloane.
yes.
Okay.
This is actually the second incarnation of Captain Price. He started off in World War II. I had the assignment to work on Captain Price in Modern Warfare 1. And I was kind of thinking, when they first came with the assignment, I went, wait, this guy was in World War II. How's this work? And they said, just don't worry about it. Just make him look good and get him in there.
Yeah.
And so he actually started off as a Force Recon Marine in Modern Warfare 1. And there are images of him on the internet here and there where he actually had that's where the boonie came from.
Really?
It's a Marine.
Yeah.
It's a Marine hat. They wear those boonies all the time. So we fashioned the boonie, got it perfect, all that stuff. Fast forward to now, that was Billy Murray,
Okay.
and then now you have Barry Sloane. Barry Sloane, went back and researched Billy Murray's Captain Price and did his best to pay homage to that, but brought an entirely different character.
But yeah, like it's think of it like when Casino Royale came
Yeah.
out, right? When they recast James Bond as Daniel Craig, it's like they didn't look for the guy that looked as much like Pierce Brosnan that they could find. They said, who's the guy that can be James Bond for right now? And this is Captain
your
Price.
Price. All right.
For right now. He's
new Price.
he's gone through Navy SEAL training before for other roles, so he's kind of knows the drill. And then when we were working with training our other cast members, because he had some training, he was able to assume the role of commander even with the other cast members. So it set a nice dynamic right off the bat.
No, you get to hear him at the top.
and
of the
he's
trailer.
not
That's
wearing
awesome.
we could take the boonie off this time a little bit.
Yep.
He didn't have to be a cartoon
Say.
character.
No, I
Right.
said
Yeah.
more badass Price. All right.
And so this is half the game. So
Okay.
as a player, I'm playing roughly half the game, and Price is my commander, right?
Okay.
Price is the guy that I'm like fighting side by side with, and this is inspired by, again, a lot of our military consultants that talk about all these missions that these guys go on that you never hear about. But they are keeping the world safer in the shadows, right? Finding that line between right and wrong, and we never hear about it. And so again, for our players, you get to suit up and play alongside Captain Price and do some really cool stuff.
Awesome. All right.
And that brings us to the next slide,
Yes.
which is that player character is Kyle. Sergeant Kyle Garrick.
Okay.
He is a former British Army officer who is now working domestic counterterrorism in London when he hooks up with Captain Price. And he's a guy that's been saying, we could make more of a difference if we just kind of gave everything we had. If we just tried harder, if we did more, we could make more of a difference. And Price is a guy that says, you want to do more, Kyle? Then come along with me. And that's the kind of the promise that we give our players is you want to do more, come along with Captain Price and make a difference.
Who plays him?
That is Elliot Knight.
Elliot Knight.
Elliot Knight, amazing
Give
actor
him
as
a
well.
name check.
Yeah.
All right. So that's
Yeah.
one side. Let's talk about the other side.
So for the other side,
Yeah.
the player character you're playing as is Alex.
Okay.
Now we only talk about his first name because he's in the CIA.
CIA operative, right.
Right? So he's a
We
guy.
think his name is Alex.
Exactly. He's a guy who embeds with local forces.
Okay.
And he's a guy who, he chose to sign up, right? He chose to say, I want to make a difference in this world, so I'm going to sign up. But once you sign up, now you are assigned missions, right? And now it's kind of a job. You're told, go here, work with these people, make a difference, and then move on. But what's different about this story and different about this moment in his time is now he's assigned to go work with another commander, sort of our corollary to Captain Price, a character who is as much of a commander as he is. and that is Commander Farah Kareem. And the difference between Alex and Farah.
I got to point out that Chad is here in the audience somewhere.
Oh,
Yeah, so we have
Yeah!
we have
All
Chad,
right.
Michael
Chad,
Collins,
Michael Collins
and
plays,
Claudia Dumit
Kyle.
are here right there in the audience.
Hello, guys.
They play
Alex.
Alex and Farah.
awesome.
And so for Alex, right, he's a guy who gets assigned to missions, but he gets to fight with this commander who is the inverse of him. She didn't choose to sign up because the war sort of came to her. It came to her backyard. So she was sort of conscripted into it, right? She had a choice, fight or just give up. But now that she has chosen to fight, she gets to choose what she does. And so that's a real eye-opener for Alex. And it makes for a really nice, dichotomy of the story.
And I got to see a little bit of her story, and I don't know how much we can spoil, but yeah, there's definitely there's a good history there.
Played by Claudia.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who's
Claudia?
We're going to learn a lot more about them.
Yeah. I said no. There's a level that you guys showed us, which definitely talks about sort of their younger ages, I guess. I guess we can talk about that, right? We saw it. Yeah, exactly. All right. Fantastic. So those are the two sides of the game. But one thing I think everyone wants to know more about, of course, is the MP.
MP.
I know
There's MP in this game?
I don't know what you guys can tell us about that. I know probably later this summer reveal, but anything you can sort of, what can we expect?
Yeah.
We're totally dying to talk about it, but we brought a couple screenshots.
MP screenshots?
We brought a couple of screenshots.
All right. No one's seen this before.
I want to give you more, but
Okay.
I really like ghillie suits. I think they're cool. I think that's cool. That's a
Wow.
Well, that might be one right there.
Totally in-game, of course.
And again,
these are all
the
in
tech
game.
on this that you
Yeah.
guys walked us through, the way it moves too.
Yeah,
That's
so-
what's insane.
I mean, we have a
Yeah,
new engine.
I can't
right?
believe what these guys are pulling off. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm looking at the foliage and the cloth and all that stuff, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, we have
this is our
dynamic
game.
cloth on the character, so when the ghillie moves in the brush at all, all the secondary motion and stuff.
Okay.
This character is wearing a veil over its head, or his head, or her. Who knows what's
That's
under
right.
Right.
Good to feel.
And it's really cool when it moves its head. Everything goes it flows like cloth. It looks great. Something that I've been
And it's
trying
functional.
to do for years. And if you're playing multiplayer, you want to have something like this. If you're someone that likes marksmanship and
Or if you wanna-
you're a rat sniper and you like to sit in the bushes and wait for people to drive by so you can take them out, this is for you right
Hey,
here.
no.
I take screenshot. First MP screenshot. I gotta get that on Twitter. All right.
I mean, the important thing for MP is that this is a unified experience, right? These are not modes. This is not a modal game. When you're playing Modern Warfare, you're playing Modern Warfare. Whether you're playing SP or MP or co-op, you're playing in this same world.
Yep.
So Spec Ops is coming back. We're playing Spec Ops
I don't
again.
know. I don't know if you guys recognize what that is.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe you could figure it out. What is it? I don't know. It might. Yeah. Okay. brand new suit. What's that? All right. Okay. Cool. All right. Juggernaut suit's back.
Wow.
And I think something. I asked for this early on. I thought it'd be really cool if you got close to the Juggernaut and it was heavy metal music coming out of its speakers or something. We're doing that. And when I was doing capture for this, I had the Juggernaut suit up, and it was an hour and a half of death metal music. I just got into it and started taking screenshots.
Oh
but
my God.
it's a super cool detail, and absolutely, there's more to come on this stuff. Please be patient. We want this to be perfect when we show it to you guys, and we're gonna get it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of great stuff inside of this, and again, we got a chance to go to the studio and the intensity of what you guys are bringing and the storytelling,
And the fun, right?
Absolutely.
As
Well, no,
Wildstyle
if I could talk
says-
about multiplayer, I'd tell you that.
As
but yes,
Wildstyle from
exactly.
Lego Movie
Yes.
says, it's not always awesome,
No.
but that doesn't mean that it's hopeless and bleak. Everything, as
I
long
don't
as
know
we're
what that
together, it's going to
That
be
sounds
awesome.
like something.
Who
you'd
knew a
say.
Lego movie would inspire Modern Warfare? But we'll leave it at that. All right. Taylor, Joel, Jacob, thank you so much. Call of Duty Modern Warfare
Thank
coming
you
out
so much.
this fall from the team at Infinity Ward. Really appreciate you guys giving us a sneak preview of multiplayer. Little surprise.